So I'm Lyndsey Wheeler. I am the co-founder of SuperNow. We are a platform for live, interactive learning adventures for kids ages 4 to 10. I was an Odyssey kid, so I did Odyssey the Mind, I think like in elementary school, and then I did it in high school. I like stopped, and then I did it in high school. And I think I always define myself as a really creative person. And after college, I was looking for a job that would allow me to exercise that creativity, but also like develop strategic skills, and not because I didn't want to just like go purely into like writing for TV or directing movies or those kinds of like creative jobs. And so I started my career in innovation consulting, which basically I was doing new product, service, experience, design, and strategy for like consumer brands. So everything from designing the next Hot Pocket SKU to like digital products for Nike and everything in between that. And it was really fun. It was perfectly like a match of creative and strategic thinking. But ultimately, I just want to get closer to building businesses and get closer to startups. And so I worked in tech. I worked at Rent the Runway for a few years, large tech startup. And that's where I met my co-founder. And that's where we kind of jumped off into the deep end and started building businesses together. Creativity is not taught in school as part of like a core curriculum, but it is essential in life, especially when the world is changing so quickly, and like we have to be able to like develop creative solutions to problems in order to kind of continue surviving as a species. So I think like school does not teach those kinds of skills, and I think Odyssey of the Mind does teach those skills. Those skills are translated. I mean, I'm taking those skills as a founder and building my business with it, but the like content itself of what we're teaching kids, it's kind of meta, I guess, where we do tons of like project based kind of like thinking outside the box, building, creating plays, creating stories, all of that. We're instilling those values and those kind of activities in the curriculum at SuperNow. So it kind of is like playing on two levels. Um, I think it's interesting, like the jobs that kids who are in school right now are gonna do in the future, like don't even exist yet. They don't even really know. They could say what they want to be when they grow up, but like the job they actually will become is probably not even like a job yet. And so creativity and like problem solving, teamwork, public speaking, flexibility and adaptability, all the things that OM taught me, I think are going to be super directly applicable to like whatever they do in the future. And it's also fun and joyful. And I think there's something about that aspect that I try and bring to the culture of like my company. We want to create a space that's like really pro creativity. That's a place where people can sort of express and feel kind of comfortable, like, debating to get to the best kind of solution. So yeah, I mean, I think the benefits are immense. And I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to do it when I was a kid. I think I was in like fourth grade. What was our problem? Our problem was, it's called the ostrich factor, I think. Ostrich something. And basically the problem was some character in the like skit had to, like, when they stuck their head down, they basically like left the scene or something like that. I don't know. But our I think our story was kind of bad, but it had something to do with like playing at Carnegie. There was a performance at Carnegie Hall. It was something very silly, and the conductor kept like putting their head down as the ostrich for the ostrich factor. But the thing that I'm a violinist, and I didn't know, like, I think you can actually legally play musical instruments in the skit, and it doesn't like count towards your monetary value. But I didn't know this, and I was like 8 or 9 or something. So instead of like bringing our instruments, instead we recorded ourselves playing the instruments and then made like little replica violins that were really good for fourth grader quality. Like they looked like a real violin. And we ended up winning a Renato Fusco award for the violins. Actually, we did not place in the actual competition, but I think it was like so good. I had it in my bedroom for like a decade after that. Like it was just like hanging in my bedroom, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's like a lasting OM memory that my parents probably still have it. I think like in general, we were just way more down to the wire, like always, than we thought we would be, like than we should have been. And I think that like I did it. So I did it in elementary school, and then in my sophomore year of high school, we like did it again just for fun. And I think we had like a multi-day sleepover leading up to the competition because we like, when you're in elementary school, you're like, there's more structure probably applied by your parents to like go to practice and work on your thing. But in high school, we were like, not being coached really. We were kind of like our own coaches. So I think there was that. I think I don't remember any like miserable failures of the actual competition, luckily. But yeah, I also do remember my dad was the coach when I was in elementary school. So I do remember a lot like going down in the basement and like working on it alone, like when it wasn't practice time. Like we're painting our sets or like building our stuff. Like I was just kind of like doing it because I liked it a lot. But I also think it's like character building for kids because I was like I have gotten more sort of change is inevitable. You kind of have to just go with the flow, be flexible as a person. Like I've gotten way more that way as an adult, but I think it's really easy for kids to get super rigid in their routine and the way they do things. And like this is sort of an exercise in like letting go and having to like adapt, which is really it's like an important skill to develop that you don't really there's not like a way to learn it like in school or anything. So I do think there's like character benefits as well. My advice is like to follow your like curiosity because I think that the advice that people normally get about just like do what you love is that is can be really intimidating when people don't necessarily know what they love yet. Like they're trying to figure out what they love. Like I don't think there's such a thing as like one singular like life's work. And so I would say like follow your curiosity. I think that advice applies to OM too. It's like you could do this problem in a million ways. So like follow the thing that you're most curious about and it will lead you to a solution. It may not be the like most elegant solution, but it is a solution. And I think that the like flexibility and the like constant iteration. I never did one of the like balsa wood projects. Like that wasn't my jam. But I think that the process I assume around that is like test things. You gotta just keep testing, test, and eventually you'll get to like the best possible structure is sort of how I think about like startups. Like what we're doing now is at the seed stage is testing a series of tests that ideally get us closer and closer and closer to product market fit. And so if you are comfortable with that idea of like you're going to test into something, you're not going to know, it's not going to be perfect right away. You may be wrong. We were wrong. We were right until we were wrong with the last kind of iterations of the business. It worked for a time and then we had to evolve. And I think that like if you can get comfortable with that and not be afraid of it, that's like the most like liberating way to go into building businesses. When I was younger, I would do a lot of like informational interviews of people who I thought had like cool careers, and I'd be like, how did you get here? And hearing their story, their like reflection on how they got to where they currently were, I would always be like, well, that's so perfect. Like every step along the way like perfectly led you to where you are now. Like how did you know to take all those steps? And the reality is they didn't know. And actually they're just retrospectively telling a story that makes sense in retrospect. And I could do the same thing. But I think being okay with that, like being okay with like there's going to be a lot of chapters to your story, and that's okay. Is like part of the fun and the adventure. And so yeah, I don't know. I think like the theme is really just like adapt, change, flexibility, like and sort of making the most with what you have. That has like been a big theme in my entrepreneurial journey. I would say it's probably been a theme of the last few years, given the circumstances that, you know, I think a lot of people who have like have been figuring it out. That's probably like a thing that they've realized. But I think it's valuable.